Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's look is my look for the top 12 challenge of the NYX Face Awards, which was icons. So I chose to do Tim Burton. Tim Burton is an icon in my eyes. I have loved Tim Burton films since I was a child, since I was a toddler, honestly. And when I heard what the challenge was, a lot of people crossed my mind, but I really dug deep and thought of who was iconic to me in my world, and of course Tim Burton came to my brain. So make sure you go and vote for me at FauxWhite.com. Like we did the last few times, you can vote 3 times per day per email to help get me to the final 6, which will get me to LA, give me a chance to win $50,000 and Beauty Vlogger of the Year. Don't forget to go vote. It's super important, y'all. Let's jump into this tutorial. So I'm starting off with my bare face, of course. Now, I didn't know what color wig I wanted to do, so I just threw my hair in a ponytail to start off the tutorial because I was just clueless at that point. So I'm going to be using my Vichy Micellar cleanser to just wipe off my chest because we're going to be painting, and I'm taking one of my FauxWhite pencils. This is in the shade Linen, and I'm just sketching out what I wanted. So basically I'm a doll with different patches of Tim Burton work on my chest, so different little snippets of his movies, and I just kind of did them all over randomly. You'll kind of see as we go through it what each one is. And to start off, I'm going to show you just how I did a couple of them, not all of them, but I'm going to do this first one, which is Wormswort from The Nightmare Before Christmas. So I'm just taking one of my jumbo eye pencils in Black Bean, and I'm mixing it with the white one called Milk, and I'm just kind of filling in that little jar. And then I'm taking my NYX Ultimate palette. It's the Cool Neutrals one, and I'm just setting it with a gray shadow. Then I'm taking Milk right in the center there and putting the words Wormswort there, and I'm also setting it with eyeshadow. So pretty simple, you know, this is how I did every single one. I just used different eyeliners, I used different eyeshadows, I outlined them with a That's the Point liner. And then I also use my primal colors. I mainly use the black primal color. But yeah, you know, you just go through each one. I did look at a few reference pictures as well as I was doing these. And I also used my Vivid Bright Creme paints. And for this one, I'm using the color Sugar Rush just to go around the edges there to fill in like a bit of a background. And then I'm going in with my Ultimate Brights palette and just setting the shadow with a light purple and then going in with a darker purple just to give some dimension and depth. That will always be super important with any look that you're doing. If you're turning yourself into a character, whatever you're doing, dimension is always super important. Shading. We want to shade all the time. Then I'm taking my white liquid liner, and I am starting the sandworm. The sandworm is from Beetlejuice. I've drawn sandworms on myself before I've done Beetlejuice looks, so I kind of had a little bit in my memory of how to do it. So I'm just going in with the white and the black just to do the stripes, and then I'm going in with the Vivid Envy Vivid Brights liquid liner, and I'm doing the lips or the mouth of the sandworm, and then I'm outlining the whole thing in a black liner. And making the little teeth, doing the stripes on the little tiny tongue, and also shading a little bit on that second sandworm. I'm also taking the Vivid Fire Vivid Brights liner and doing the little red eyes for the sandworm as well. I am going around the edges with the Get Money Vivid Brights cream color, and I'm going to set that with just some green shadows, and again do a little bit of shading around the character itself. I'm also going to outline each patch in a color corresponding to that patch. So for the Wormswort one, I used Vivid Violet, and then for the Sandworm one, I used Vivid Envy as well, just because it's green. Then I'm doing this patch. This is a heart from his poem. It's called Voodoo Girl. Super cute. He did write poems before he started doing movies, really. So I wanted to replicate that little heart, and I am just doing the little pins. It's supposed to look like a very sketched heart. So if you go look at a reference picture, you'll kind of see where it's coming from. And I'm just doing all the little pins poking out, outlining it, and doing a white background for this one. This patch is from Attack on Mars, the white and red swirled dress. I just wanted to do a little reference of that. And then I've got another Beetlejuice one with the black and white stripes and the moss, and then the Nightmare Before Christmas hill, which is super iconic. I also wanted to do Zero from the Nightmare Before Christmas. This one probably took me the most time because I wanted to make it pretty accurate, but it turned out really cute. I really liked it. I also did a card from Alice in Wonderland right below that as well. Next, I'm moving on to the face, so I'm taking my Vichy serum and I'm applying that all over my face to give some hydration. And then I'm going to be going in and covering up those eyebrows. I'm just taking a non-toxic glue stick, going back and forth through them, laying them down with a spoolie and my finger, and then I'm going over a second layer with that glue, let them dry totally. And then I'll be priming my face with my Hydra Touch primer. We want to make sure it's nice and smooth and hydrated. Going in with my NYX color correcting concealer, I'm using the orangish peachy shade, and that is going to just color correct the darkness of the brows and hide them a little bit better. I'm putting my SFX set powder on top of them as well, just to make sure the cream is nice and set. I'm priming my lids to prepare for eyeshadow. I also put it on top of my brows. It helps cover them a little bit more as well. Doesn't really matter though, because we are changing our skin color to blue. So regardless, they're gonna get covered. So I did a practice run on half of my body. I wanted to make sure it turned out right. So I'm using one of the light blue Vivid Brights and then the dark SFX cream color, the dark blue. And I'm mixing them together and I'm putting it all over. I'm laying it down with a smaller brush first, and then I go in with a larger brush just to blend everything together. And you want to make sure it's very opaque. You don't want any, sheer areas or any skin coming through. You want to make sure that your natural skin color is totally covered by this blue. I'm also using a more of a minty teal shade underneath my eyes just to highlight a little bit. And on my eyebrow bones, because that is where a natural highlight would be as well. Taking it down onto my chest. And I do go quite a ways down my arms, and I got as much as I could on my back as well. Taking the darker cream color, I'm contouring a bit with that. I'm going in with the cream first because it does set better on top of the other cream, contouring my cheek, my jawline, my neck. Tim Burton characters have very small, pointy faces and skinny necks, so I wanted to contour it as much as I could. You also want to make sure you contour your nose very well because Tim Burton characters have the skinniest, littlest noses. Then I'm taking a bright blue shadow and I'm going right on top of all that contour I did. That will give a great contrast and just make that contour stand out quite a bit more. Don't forget about your forehead either. I'm really going into detail on the nose with the contouring. I'm connecting it with my natural eyebrow bone. And then just going in there and shading with the darker blue that we used. Taking this lighter blue from the Ultimate Brights palette, I am starting the eyes. I'm doing a very round shape since we are like a doll. I just wanted to create my own doll that was very Tim Burton inspired, so I'm doing very round eyes. I'm also following that blue down below the cutout eye that I did on the lower lash line there, and then also taking the dark blue right in the crease to define it a bit, as well as the lower lash line. Taking the Milk Jumbo eye pencil, I'm putting that in the lower lash line and setting it with a white eyeshadow. That is our false lower lash line for our doll look. And I'm also taking concealer and cutting out that lid in a very round shape as well and setting it with some SFX set powder. I outlined the lower lash line in blue at first, and then I went back in with black and outlined everything, the top lash line, the lower lash line. Everything. I even did a little bit of liner too. I didn't do any crazy shape. I just outlined my eye. And I used the NYX gel liner for this that comes in the little pot. I also outlined the lower lash line. Doesn't have to be perfect though because we're taking black shadow and we're really defining those new creases that we made basically. Those new lash lines that we made. So I'm really defining the crease on the top part of my eye, and then I'm really making the lower lash line super dramatic with the black shadow. And I keep adding in blue and going back and forth with the black and the blue just to make it as dramatic as I need it. There we go, both the eyes are done. Then I go back in with the blue liquid liner, which is Vivid Sapphire, and I'm just outlining and going over that blue. And now I'm going to do eyebrows. Yes. I'm going to take my Strictly Vinyl Liquid Liner. This one is in Creme. It's a deep purple. And I'm doing those very sad, very whimsical eyebrows that most of Tim Burton's characters have. So I'm just making them a little bit thicker in the middle there in the beginning and more thin on the outer part of the eyebrow. And I did about 3 layers just to make sure it was nice and opaque and nice and straight. Then I'm going in with a white shadow and I'm just going to highlight that brow bone to make it look more lifted and more prominent. Like you would normally do with your glam makeup, right? I'm also highlighting the inner corners of my eyes with that white shadow, and I'm also highlighting the bridge of my nose and any other areas I feel necessary. Now, I've been going at this for hours, so I was getting a little tired. This look took me 8 hours total, guys, so there might be a few snippets where you see me sighing. I'm just going around the edges of those little patches that I have open with blue, and then I did one eye with my lashes on it. I'm taking that same Strictly Vinyl liner, and I'm doing little marks underneath of the eyes, just to give those little sketch kind of marks. You know, a lot of Tim Burton's work looks very sketched, so I just wanted to mimic it. So for the lashes, I cut up a pair of NYX lashes, and I'm putting them on the lower fake lash line that we created to make a very doll-like appearance. And then I'm using the Worth the Hype mascara for the top lash line. And I'm going to be using the lashes in the middle there and putting those on top. And then I'm cutting up these pairs of lashes that I had from Halloween that are super dramatic. And I just wanted a few really, really long ones for the upper lash line. So I just cut up about 3 of those little guys and popped them there on top and added some more mascara. Taking this white cream color, I'm filling in those little spaces I was talking about a minute ago, and these are going to be little areas where stuffing is falling out of me because I am a doll. So I'm going to set that with some powder, and then I'm going to put some liquid latex down and place the stuffing on top. I realized I should have outlined these areas before I put the stuffing on, but I was getting a little loopy at this point. I think I was about 7 hours in, so I was just getting a little crazy here, but hey, you know what? It all worked out in the end, no big deal. I'm just outlining with that same liquid liner I used for the eyebrows, and then I shaded a little bit on the edges as well with my primal shadow, and I'm doing some little stitches with my Strictly Vinyl liner in Dauntless. And I also did some of those little sketch marks that we did below the eyes around the edges of them as well. For the top one, I was a little bit smarter and I outlined first and shaded first and then put the stuffing right on top. I'm doing one more patch on my face, just a kind of Tim Burton inspired swirl, and I did pink to contrast the blue skin. I just wanted to bring those patches up onto the face a little bit to make it more uniform. And then I'm doing some contouring and shading on the chest with that same dark blue shadow, doing it on my collarbones, on my neck, you know, my cleavage, really everywhere. And then I'm doing those little stitches all over the patches to make it seem like they're all stitched together onto my skin, and I'm doing it with the same Dauntless liquid liner. I go over it with my white liquid liner as well and add some highlights on the tops of the stitches and make some little indents where it looks like it's going into the skin. For lips, I'm using my Black Bean Jumbo Eye Pencil to outline and use them as a lip liner. And then I kind of blend it in. I want more of a doll-like lip shape, so I'm making them a little bit shorter on the edges there and more pointy. I just clean up the edges of my lips once I'm done doing them with the blue paint, so it kind of blends in a little bit, if you will. And I'm taking my matte lipstick from NYX. This is in Perfect Red. I'm just putting that right in the middle, and then I'm going to blend everything together with a brush. I love the red contrast with the blue. It looks so cool. And I add a couple little butterflies. just for a Tim Burton Corpse Bride feel. You know what I'm saying? Thank you guys so much for watching. Your support means the absolute world to me. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have made it to the next round of the NYX Face Awards. So again, please make sure you go vote for me at FauxWhite.com. You can vote starting today until the 19th, so you have 7 days to vote, and that will help get me to the final round of the Face Awards. Thank you guys so much for everything. I really hope you enjoyed my icon and my tutorial. I'll see you, hopefully, in the next round. Thanks, guys.